Welcome to Let's Talk today. This is the third episode of the podcast. We have Miss Fuller on today. Welcome.
Yeah.
An ELA teacher, freshman Stuco advisor, avid teacher. So kind of give us an intro to who you are, you know, a little background, life outside the classroom. We know you have a fiance now, so
yes.
a little background story.
I'm born and raised, so I'm from here. I actually went to Blue Valley Northwest, but I've been in the Blue Valley district since kindergarten. So I spent my whole life in this area. Went to OU for college, and then came back, and I've been at Blue Valley High ever since. I actually student taught here, so this is my 6th year teaching. And so I've been here the whole time. Outside of school, I am obsessed with my nieces and nephews. I feel like all my students hear the stories constantly. And then, yes, I'm engaged, so I'm getting married this summer. I actually bought a house last week, so that was a big one.
Wow.
And we are getting a puppy and doing all that. And then I teach, like, fitness classes. It's kind of my other big side gig. So.
Yep. So I did a quick Google search of Mackenzie Fuller on Google.
Yes.
You have a pretty small little digital footprint. I did see some homecoming pictures in there.
The best.
And
Throwbacks.
I saw that there was a story written by the Kansas City Star on you and your sister mostly about your reality TV show. We'll get into that later. Exhibition Impossible. I found out you went to Blue Valley Northwest. I found out you went to OU. Fusion Fitness.
Yes.
I found out all those things. So you have a pretty small digital footprint, but from what I could find, it was fun. Cool. So, yeah, how did you get engaged? You met this boy. I know. Is it connected to Mrs. Sheffield at all?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So Mrs. Sheffield's actually sister-in-law is like best friends with my fiance's family. And so I was at some of Mrs. Sheffield's wedding events before she got married, and they were like, we have to set you up with this guy, and his name's Will. So they set us up with Will, and it was pretty quick. He claims that he knew he wanted to marry me date 2.
Wow.
So I wasn't quite that fast,
What a
poor guy. But yeah, it was pretty quick. But he's awesome. He's also from here. Both his parents are teachers, so that's been something really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got engaged in June. So then we're getting married exactly a year later.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yep. He's
Will.
a winner.
Okay, well, we'll look out for Will. If he acts out in any way, we'll
Okay.
find him.
Yeah.
Cool, so everybody wants to know the story of Exhibition Impossible.
Yes.
Because I know I've asked you and if you're in your class, you always find out by word of mouth that you were on a reality TV show. So yeah, tell us about how you got on that, why you got on it, and what it was.
So it's my senior year of high school. So I was at Blue Valley Northwest, and my sister applied us without telling us.
Come on, let's go. This way.
All right, whatever you do not pull on the camel's mouth.
Oh my God, he's pulling me back.
We suddenly just get this call from like a casting director and was like, hey, can we interview you to see if further information? And I knew nothing, like no idea. And so we kind of went through this whole process, had to fly to LA to get like all this testing done to make sure we were in like the right mindset, to like prove that we could swim and do all these crazy things. And then we found out we were on the show. So it was a long process. But after that, they flew us to Morocco. And that's where the show took place. I think I missed about a month of my senior year of high school. Yeah, it was crazy.
Were your parents like okay with this? And they were just like...
Yeah, I mean, I'm the baby of 4 girls. And so by the time I came around, my parents were like, you know, she'll be fine. They obviously checked that I would graduate. Actually, Mrs. Vore was my math teacher at the time.
That's funny.
So I had to leave AP Stats with Miss Vore for a month. And yeah, it was kind of funny. But they were all so flexible, and my teachers were like, I was a good student, so they knew that I would come back and be fine. But it was awesome. It was fun.
So good experience then.
Yes,
overall.
really cool experience.
That's so funny. So Fusion Fitness. I knew you were big into fitness, but I didn't know you like actually taught classes. So how did that kind of come to be? Where even is Fusion Fitness?
Yeah. Well, there's 2 locations. So there's one at like Mission Farms, and then there's one in like downtown Overland Park, which is actually like right by where I live. So it's really nice, close. I started working out there in college, actually, whenever I was home for summer breaks. And then I just really wanted to teach. So I guess 2 years ago, I auditioned. So you actually have to like do a whole audition process to get accepted to be a teacher and training and all that stuff. But I love it. It's so fun. It's just a good like outlet. And I'm all about like, I feel like cardio is the way that I get all my energy out, my frustration, and it just makes me feel good. So it's a lot of fun.
Have any alums ever come back to like do a class with you?
I've had actually 2 students take this year,
wow.
which is fun and always hilarious.
Yeah, that's gotta be fun.
Yeah, it's just I love seeing everybody in different settings. It's hilarious. Just like, oh, we're not in school. I'm not teaching you avid or English. I'm now yelling at you to do burpees.
Right.
Yeah. Like I can make you do some burpees.
Oh, okay, yeah. Does your fiance like to work out and go with you and stuff?
He has taken it a few times. Fusion is primarily female, like 99% female.
Gotcha.
So he's gone a few times, but he works out. Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for those that aren't motivated to work out, like Miss Fuller, how do we get in that mindset? Because I've been trying to, get back into it, but
it's hard.
I haven't done it.
I think the big thing is find what you like. Like I always say, even at like Fusion, which is pretty intense workouts, I'm like, it's not about the calories. It's not about like trying to be a certain size or trying to make yourself smaller. Like that shouldn't be somebody's goal. It's just finding something that you enjoy. And I like the community. I like that I can talk to people before and after class. And I like that it's just another like place that it's social for me too. And I enjoy what I'm doing. So like some people it's running, some people it's lifting weights, some people it's like mine are all classes. I think finding what you like is really important, and then like having the mindset of just doing it because it's fun, not putting the pressure on like, unhealthy things.
Right. And that kind of goes for like all life, really. Like
Yeah.
any life skill that you want to be like motivated for. It's
Yeah.
like, be motivated for it and find what you like.
Yeah.
I like that.
Enjoy it.
Cool. So we're gonna talk about some current events, kind of, because the title of the podcast is "Let's Talk Today," and there's things going on today that weren't going on yesterday, and there's things going on that weren't going on a year ago.
Yeah.
So what do you think the biggest challenge is in school right now for like students, and maybe even teachers? Because I know that there's it's really hard to be a teacher right now, and so what would be kind of those biggest struggles that you see for students and teachers?
I think a big thing I've seen this year for students is just like, I keep using the word stamina. Just we came back and I feel like it was like full on school again, and getting used to having that stamina of like a bunch of hard tests the same week and them not being virtual and not getting used to having open note tests like they may have last year. And just the amount of work is kind of back to normal. And so I think I've just been seeing a lot of people struggle with stamina. Plus just being in class for 7 hours a day is a lot harder rather than having those breaks like they did probably last year. So I think that's a big one I've seen from students and staff last semester. Staff-wise, I think it's fair to say that this year's probably been the hardest of all of them, at least from what I've seen in this building. And I think it's simply just because teaching is one of the only jobs that a lot of stuff gets added to our plates, but nobody new gets hired to do those new jobs. At other companies, if you had the government telling you need to now do literacy testing, like this year, they would hire somebody to do the literacy testing. Where in education, it gets added to a teacher's plate. So we keep having more and more and more and more to do, but no more time.
Right.
And I think that's been kind of the hard thing, especially with COVID, when a lot of us feel like we're reinventing the wheel on the activities we do and stuff like that, and then you're also adding all these other things that we have to pay attention to. It's just a lot.
Do you think it's also harder being a teacher when since student stamina is low? And most I see it more and more that a lot of students kind of caring less and less about school, and so as a teacher where you came into the profession to make people learn, do you think it's harder if stamina's lower?
I think for me, it's not necessarily the learning part, which probably doesn't sound right. It's more like I didn't choose to be a teacher because I really care that you know Romeo and Juliet. I became a teacher because I like having conversation with kids. And I think this year, because of the stamina, I'm not getting that as much. Kids are too tired to really have those conversations, and it's been harder to form those connections than I think in previous years. It's getting better. I feel like this semester is definitely so much better, and I'm so much happier. But I do think because the adjustment first semester was so big that I didn't feel like the fun part of my job where I just have conversations randomly with students. That wasn't happening as much.
Yeah. Well, looking at the community from an outside perspective, how can we maybe either boost stamina or help teacher morale because I hear teachers talk all the time that like this year's rough and I don't know about next year, and so like and that's a real reality, and so like what can we do to like make it either better on teachers but also better on students?
I think just asking that question is big. I don't think a lot of people ask that. What can we do? We get, thank you notes, which is the best, but a lot of teachers are afraid of just all the criticism. And I think I would ask people to remember why teachers came into the profession. Like, we decided to be teachers because we love kids. So we're not purposely ever trying to do all the negative things that people are afraid that we're doing. And everybody's just doing our best. And I don't believe like any teacher in this school is purposely ever struggling or trying to, put any political things or spins in their class. That's not their goal. They just want students to have discussions. And that our heart is in the right place. And I think if people remember that, the criticism would be less, and it would make it easier to stay in the profession if they're not always pointing the finger when they don't know the full story.
Right. Yeah, because most teachers are also following the command. Like pretty much all teachers aren't necessarily having to make their own decisions. They have to go by upper, and that's not even Mr. Bacon. Like that's up top.
I'll say top. Mr. Bacon's the best boss in the whole world. I love him.
I do hear that across the entire board.
Yes, he's the best.
Mr. Bacon, from the interactions that I get in the office, and everybody respects him. Everybody listens to him. It's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah. Cool.
So, when I guess more on the student side, it seems like obviously there's just a bunch of muck and a bunch of the world's kind of a sad place right now, and I feel like a lot of people are struggling just to push through. So what would you say to students that are stressed out and anxious about stuff, or maybe even seniors that are stressed out, anxious about stuff going into college, like that jump? Maybe speak into a little bit of that.
I would say find your person, and if it's school related, like find a teacher. I don't think students always realize, I think they have this, they don't want to talk to me about that, and that's not true. That's like I said, why we're teachers. I'd much rather sit here and talk to you about your real life and where you're headed to college and your worries about that than have to only talk to you about English or whatever. So I'd say try to find that teacher, and a lot of times people feel better just by a conversation. Sometimes all the world problems we can't fix in a day, but letting yourself have a conversation and know somebody else is checking in with you, I think that's a game changer. When I was struggling first semester just with this school year, the second I said it out loud to some of my teacher friends, I immediately felt better. Because I was like, wow, I'm not alone in this feeling. So I think that's my big piece of advice, just knowing that teachers want to hear those things. They want to help with them. It's not something you have to keep to yourself.
We're going to move into the end sections of the podcast. So as everyone knows, when we end the podcast here, we do the vocab word of the day.
Love it.
And then we do some rapid fire. So what's the vocab word?
All right, vivacious.
Okay, what does that mean? Because I've never heard that word.
Vivacious. I love it because it's fun to say. Okay. And it means lively and animated.
Okay.
So I feel like
we need some more vivacious characters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I want to be vivacious. I feel like that's who I hope to be sometimes in the classroom to try to get the energy. That's definitely who I am at Fusion
I was gonna
Fitness.
Say.
So
I've seen that.
Yeah. So vivacious. There you go.
Well, I challenge you guys to use vivacious in your vocab this week. So cool. Rapid fire section. No cheating.
Oh boy.
So what's your favorite candy?
Sour Patch Kids.
Favorite meal of the day?
Lunch.
Okay. Favorite brand of clothing?
Oh, geez, that's hard. Madewell.
Okay. Where do you go shopping for groceries?
For groceries, Walmart.
Walmart. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite meal to cook?
I don't cook.
Okay.
At all.
Favorite meal that your fiance cooks?
He literally, I now eat things that aren't frozen, so it's a big deal. Anything that's not frozen.
Okay. Favorite date you've been on?
Oh, favorite date. We did get to go to Mexico last year, so I would say that was a big one. We went to a really nice restaurant while we were there.
That would be awesome. A big one.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Let's Talk Today. Thank you, Miss Fuller.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you guys next week.
This was fun.
Yeah.